sites as well whilst doing so. But TT with that side select, they take blue side. They're going to get their first pick of the litter. Probably going to be one of those junglers that doesn't give too much away, but instead with Varus open and available, it's going to be 1xN getting his maybe one of his best picks, right? The Varus getting locked in for him. I think Misfortune for Peyz is the other expected answer really between these two AD carries and one of the more highly contested picks. But JDG, they've got bigger fish to fry at the minute.
I love it because Misfortune has been a common piece for both these guys, but the Varus definitely sticking out more for 1xN. The insta-lock combo of the Taliyah and the Naafiri. You'd love to see a little bit more onus given to Xun and some setup mobility out of mid lane for Scout.
And I think that's really important as well. One of our criticisms of SeTab so far has been that he gets caught on side lanes a lot. Taliyah, Naafiri are going to be two champs that are very good at punishing somebody who doesn't quite remember how their side laning extension needs to work. But TT, Yone's still open. They can lock that in with the Sejuani. Again, Yone, one of these picks that very frequently gets banned. And SeTab, this is one of his most played picks of the LPL so far. Like, he knows what he's doing on this Yone pick. So in that side lane, if we do expect to see him in that side lane more so than anything else, him getting caught out and picked off is going to be a little more difficult with the Yone in his back pocket.
Very powerful combo already drafted for TT, setting themselves up for success. They do need some glue to tie everything together. JDG, they're not going with glue, they're going with meat. And it's going to be Sion picked up as they go for a big tank in the top lane for Allah.
And I wonder if this now augments how 1xN decides to build, because so frequently we've just seen poke and that be the deciding factor, because you stand forward on a mid wave, you poke out the enemy AD, and then you're good. I would like to see a little bit of a change to the build path. Have some tank shred in you, right? Let's go for that on hit. Let's try to get rid of this Sion's HP bar, because otherwise we're going to struggle. And then I think by extension, right, do they start banning away AD carries here away from JDG, or are they actually going to look to try and take out some of those crucial linchpin supports?
I love the Shin ban here. Shin's been rising in priority across competitive as well. I know it's a little bit of a different tier. We've been seeing a lot in NACL, and that's been a lot of fun to watch, but would combine really well with some of the other pieces that TT have right now and had gotten buffed pretty heavily. Now the Nautilus is going to be the ban on the other side, focusing on the engage tools that JDG no doubt want.
Yeah, so JDG here need themselves a bit more, I'll call it consistent DPS. They could honestly go for something that's a little bit more setup focused as well, because Naafiri and Taliyah are pretty decent damage threats.
Ashe?
But yeah, I think Ashe is awful at the minute. Is just a no. Maybe Jhin is like, if you're looking for something like that, you'd go Jhin instead. But they still have the Misfortune up if they want it, and they have got decent enough setup, and there's enough support on the table for them to take an MF plus engage support combo, which will allow for that big wombo combo team fight. Instead, though, they're going to sacrifice the laning phase and say, I'll kill you anyway. Lovely stuff.
I love it. This will be the 11th AD champion that Peyz has played so far this split, which is absolutely crazy. And using the breadth of the ADC meta right now, but he's going to have a lot of the all-in follow-through with the killer instinct. And giving the guy the guns here, see if he can carry. The Alistar is going to be the answer on the other side to try to tie things together and provide more of that engaged front line.
Okay. Waiting to see what their top laner looks like. They need, I was going to say, they need magic damage, and versus a Sion, this really not an awful pick in any means. You just get to go scaling for scaling, really. Vladimir locked in for Hoya. Not the first Vlad that we've seen in the LPL, but certainly a big pick to take here. Versus what is ultimately quite a short-range composition from JDG outside of Scout on the Taliyah, who's mid-range at best. The Vlad's going to have a very easy time getting in and doing damage, not particularly needing to be scared of getting kited around by, your Xeraths, Caitlyn's, whatever's, like long-range champions that you typically struggle against. But this time out, I'm quite looking forward to seeing what Hoya can do.
Missings were Khan. This was something last year and earlier this split that was legendary for him. Will be coming through here to pair up with Peyz's Kai'Sa. Has that go-between factor for the kind of all-in comp, but also defensive nature on their own side of things. But I gotta ask, like, the side lane seems so good for TT at this point.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the onus is definitely on JDG to get the ball rolling a little bit earlier on. My concern with that is that, well, Kai'Sa Rakan probably going to struggle versus Varus Alistar early on. In the mid lane, right, Yone versus Taliyah. Maybe the Yone can get punished a little bit in the early game versus a Taliyah being range versus melee, but it's not expected. And then again on the top side, right, you've picked a Sion. How are you gonna push that envelope pre-level 6? It's not particularly possible. So I do like what TT have drafted for themselves here, and I'm actually really excited to see what their comp ends up looking like in terms of execution.
Yeah, that's the biggest question mark that comes into a series like this. It is a team that on paper, JDG should be absolutely favored in a 2-0 fashion, no doubt. But with the way that the track record has worked between these two teams, especially in their other series leading into this one, when you don't know what version of JDG we're going to get on the day, you have to think that there's always a chance for TT to take a series over one of the top dogs, at least supposedly, in Group Ascend. A lot riding on this in terms of pride for JDG, a lot of momentum from that AL series. Can they show consistency once again and show that they can be one of those titans of the LPL? As we get into game number 1 of our second best of 3, TT versus JDG.
I'm not sure if the crowd are
Come
snoozing
on!
today. The crowd are snoozing. They didn't do it for... Yeah.
The person that started the chant is the only one doing the gyos. Come on, gyro. There we go. We got a little bit for JDG.
You know what?
TT got nothing.
Arena that you're in.
They are
sad.
in Beijing.
Yeah. Okay. There should have been.
They're in Shanghai?
Some.
I thought they would be at JDG's home arena.
I'm looking at this currently. And we're looking at a bit of a rerun of what we saw from the game 1 from the previous series. But this is how you would expect this to go, is that, okay, good, level 1 Alistar. Should always take W from level 1 Alistar. But this is hard for Kai'Sa. This is hard for Kai'Sa Rakan, just period. This bot lane is not going to be easy. Varus should be able to space out the Kai'Sa just because of the range. And, I mean, as soon as you hit level 2, the Alistar's going to have a pretty decent time of things as well. Scorch plus Comet also, you'd like to think, is going to be putting a heavy toll onto Peyz's HP. So if JDG can make it to level 2 unscathed and level 3 unscathed, maybe they'll be okay. But I'd like to see Feather probably just trying to harass this wave a little bit more. Yeah, let's get that. That's more like what we should be expecting.
It's a poke in there. It's Arcane Comet Bears. Gotta get as much poke as you can.
Yeah.
Also the lethal tempo for the Kai'Sa. So going for more of that on-hint style. We do look at both junglers. We said our pivotal undercurrents to how both teams kind of function. Going from top to bot. So it looks like the party will be in bot lane 2v2.
Yeah, I like that you point that out as well, especially for TT, because Beichuan, I think, was one of the, again, coming into 2024, maybe unexpected parts of TT, 2025, excuse me. We weren't expecting great things from Beichuan, but I think he actually really oversold or really overexceeded his expectations and did actually very well overall in at least split 1. And split number 2, maybe that's not quite followed through quite as hard. But I remember definitely the Demacia Cup showing and moving into split 1 as well. Beichuan had a really, really solid showing, and I think that if we can see him return to some of that semblance in split 2, for the second round robin, we might end up seeing TT end up with a pretty decent mid-place table finish.
Yeah, there's still a lot of games left to play. You got to remember, 18 total best of 3s, so still a lot of room to grow. And now we get the finishing of the pathing. Beichuan a little bit quicker on the path clear here. Gonna get the first view of Scuttle. Gonna be a nice little ward pop down by Shun, and he will just concede that side of the map and go get the Scuttle on top.
Yeah, SeTab quite low on his HP here, and just a little bit of flexing into the mid lane means that it's nice and easy for Shun to move his way over. A Scout, I say he's got SeTab low on HP. He's pretty low on mana and health in his own right, so moving back to base with that teleport, we'll be able to come back in, probably catch out, and an early swap being picked and called here for JDG. This bot lane was going to be a little bit rough, but in fairness to Peyz, has been farming evenly, has got himself a cull now going back to base, and with TPs immediately down to that bot side from both top laners, it's a nice and early swap, and you know, 3.5 minutes hits the clock, and we have got rid of that, what is it, the lane swap penalty? Let's lane swap again. Okay.
I love it because now we're just seeing teams realize that if you don't like something, you walk away. Like, they tasted something bad in bot lane, they're just going to run away. They just go away, and then you get followed. Now then you set up for the grubs, and then everything starts to follow down. So love to see that kind of setup from JDG, try to push the tempo there, but TT going to answer just the same. The dragon is coming up in about 15 seconds. Grub's coming up a little bit shortly after that, and I do think, though, with some of the push priority that can come through, JDG could have their pick of the litter on which one they want to start up.
SeTab taking a whole heaping load of damage in this mid lane right now. I mean, give Scout complete free reign over the mid lane means that, like you say, whatever neutral objective it is that JDG look to go for, they can probably have their pick of the litter, just because Scout can always move first. And another flick puts SeTab in even more into the dirt. No TP for this Yone, so he's either going to have to make this damage stick and do what he can with it, take a pretty suboptimal recall and lose out on some XP.
She's going to play some music for us there. Ala getting a little bit of the better of Hoya in the bot side trade right now. Expect that might change. I mean, Siren gets really tanky, but Vladimir gets damn annoying as time goes on.
The thing
who wins the tank off in that? Does anybody?
It's definitely Vlad, but it takes so long that it's not even worth. Like, the Sion can probably walk from tier 1 back to tier 3 in the time that it takes for the Vlad to kill like 2-3 items. Maybe 5-6 with Void Staff. Hoya can actually start really trying to put the pain down, but you're never killing a Sion because he just ultis, slows you, ultis away, has another shield, can knock you up. It's impossible for either one of these two champs to kill each other once we get like an item or two.
Wet noodle fights, pool party for both of them. Beichuan gonna start up the grubs here preemptively, and gonna go ahead and get one at least to start. Thatchun might move over to contest, but not really willing to contest the early objective. They will go try to trade this dragon more than likely. Getting those grubs early for TT feels really good.
Yeah, I mean, this is, again, a composition that we are expecting to thrive on sides, right? You've got Yone who can play on side lanes versus Talia very well. The Vladimir at some stage will begin to quite happily handle the Sion. I don't know that they'll ever be able to take out the Sion, but another fight.
Trade seal gonna go a little bit wide there, but they find Scout in the end. SeTab trying to take him down. Flash play from Feather, gonna get the knockback, or try to knock up as well. Try to knock him down, a couple more punches. Scout doesn't have anything, but still has his health bar. Now should coming over as well. Seismic Shove gonna miss. Ala looking for his angle, gonna go for the decimating smash and get some ground beef for dinner there. That's gonna be a big first blood for JDG off the back of TT's overextension.
It's a great flick from Scout. It gets Beichuan away so that the permafrost can't connect. The stun doesn't come through. And the flash in from Feather actually nets him nothing. In fact, seals his own fate as he ends up falling to the first blood from Jun. A really nice re-engage as well from JDG. They don't quite get the dragon, and TT able to stop that, they'll be quite happy with. But Scout's initial flash dodges out on 2 ultimates. The flick back on Beichuan there means that this range on the E is not nearly enough. And a little bit of miscommunication. You can see Beichuan not sure if he wants to go to the Drake, go to the Alistair. If he's walking up, there's enough CC from Feather there that he could have closed that gap, but not quite ready, not quite there. And the missed out execution there means that he can now turn back around. He has enough damage to pump out. No real threat there either. And they do end up losing out. They get the Drake afterwards, it looks like, but could have been first blood for TT.
Could have been a little bit of lack of communication there. See if they can clean that up going forward. But I will say, full early neutral objective control feels really good for this composition. We'll see if they can actually build off of that here as well. JDG, definitely the ones that need to be a little bit more proactive. I always love to see a Nefiri continuously have an advantage. See if they can keep that up, because again, TT grabbed some very powerful combos in the meta right now, specifically that Sejuani Yone once time goes through.
Yeah, and I mean, the Swifties pick up here for Hoya just means that he is so disinterested in trying to take any form of fights early on, and he is just interested in going for that scaling, getting into that late game, and being an absolute menace. And for TT, the fact that they were able to find this first dragon, find those couple of grubs early on, it delays any form of neutral objective win condition for JDG. Normally, we know you look to Seoul and be like, okay, well, Seoul is where they'll start finding fights that they can win, or oh, they've got 6 grubs, they can start playing on these neutral objectives and playing on those turrets even a little bit better. But that's just not really the case for JDG so far. They've been playing a little bit slow, biding their time and looking at their scaling. I think the only real super bright spot that I'm looking at is going to be Peyz and how well this Kai'Sa can scale into the late game, because Kai'Sa, I mean, LPL will know, can do monstrous things.
Oh, it actually side connected on the scout there with the Glacial Prison, and he will just pop to Hoya. They do get the re-engage on the Feather, and they'll fall, giving Shun a reset now, and here he goes. Let the dogs be unleashed and eviscerate to top things off, and another Darkened Dagger not going to go through onto Hoya. They do end up picking off the Straggler. Scout was the pickoff initially by TT to get their first kill in the game.
Yeah, so there was a choice in draft. It was, do you want Varus or do you want Neferi? And it was TT who decided, we'll take the Varus here. So far, 1XN had a very quiet game, quite happy to just be sat farming mid lane, but Jun has had anything but that 3-0, 100% of JDG's kills in his back pocket. He might well make TT, 1XN in particular, pay for expecting that the Neferi would be either left or not as big a threat as it clearly is.
You love to see that kind of setup for them, because they grab that Neferi, they go with that Taliyah combo. It's a lot to ask Shun to perform in these kinds of situations. He hasn't been the most consistent jungler, but they still give him the resources here and now. The dogs have been unleashed as the Weaver's Wall coming in. Scout gets blocked though, and now he's CC chain from hell, and he's gonna get the seismic shot, but go down to the smite for Beichuan. Seal Fate's gonna go wide. Alla finds a massive unstoppable onslaught on the 2, but SeTab has to pop back to his soul unbound. Double knockup from Feather is not gonna be enough to follow through. Peyz looking to put in the screws, put in the plasma, and 1XN now on the other side of the fight can still free tap. He's the poke Varus. He's finding good angles, and it's a 5v4.
Oh!
Purple knockup, flash play from Feather, and that's that JDG dream that's coming alive here as TT, they find a big fight off the back of those prospects from the LDL JDG squad.
Yeah, TT, they take the homegrown bot lane from JDG, bring them into their first roster, and it was 1XN and Feather that won that fight for TT. It was Feather's triple knockup, a flash engage to catch them all off guard. It was 1XN's consistent poking and prodding away on the backside of this fight. And Feather, he spots Scout here, just trying to find a wall. And there's just no way out for this Tilly. If he gets to ride the wall, maybe it looks a little bit better. But he just does get caught between no man's land. Another little engage from Arla does buy time. And you're starting to see my problem with the poke Varus when it comes to specifically the Scion, because 1XN spends entirely too much time trying to get through this front line that he just can't do. But finally, despite that, Beichuan, Hoya, and SeTab, they were able to be the front line, and it's Feather.
That was incredible, man. And he's had multiple opportunities like that, or has released multiple highlight reels like that. Love to see the kind of side flash play from the Alistar, and they've set themselves up for success. Now, even though the gold lead doesn't feel that much stronger, I will say during all of that, the next scrub spawn did come through. 2 more went the way of TT, so there are 5 total. JDG did get 1 stolen away, so it is not Grubageddon, and now JDG repositioning around this dragon pit that TT want to go ahead and take Prio over to get second dragon for themselves.
Yeah, looking at those ultis, the only one that's really not available is Killer Instinct in 10 seconds. So we're right back to square one, where actually quite happy to have another one of these big scale 5 versus 5 gold, deadly even. Heartsteel been picked up for Beichuan. It's Jun on the flip side with that Eclipse with the Phage as well. Got a lot of the gold for JDG and needs to make it work. Hoya on the bot side.
Oh, Feather is a little bit caught out now. Tried to go for the big play. SeTab!
SeTab!
Isn't going to get Shun in the end, and he has to pop back. JDG still alive and well. The fight's still kicking in the bot lane as well. Ala and Hoya going at it down there, but here comes Ala with the unstoppable onslaught, goes right into the pit, and it is going to be Shun that takes the dragon, but they've already lost Ala. He's going to go zombie mode here. The TP instantly pounced on it. Scout's just going to fall down. That's 1xN picking him up as well, and SeTab is running amok on this Yone.
We called out that this mid lane matchup was a chance for Scout to redeem himself, to put to bed some of our concerns about his performances in 2025, in 2024 as well. And Jun now looking for 1xN.
Gets the immediate barrier out. The next Dark and Dagger, the Void Seeker, not going to be enough. Not able to get 1xN in the end.
But to go back to it, Scout is having a stinker in game number 1. He's 0-3-2, was entirely mispositioned in the previous fight. This time round gets caught out on a TP once again because he's also a little too far forward, takes too much damage in the fight. And now what is Missing doing?
Nice go again, I guess.
All right. Yeah, you got to ward down.
Wanted to get a little, but it's just crazy because when we look at the very beginning of this day, we said, like, on paper, like, this shouldn't even be a conversation. This shouldn't even, like, Scout should absolutely handle this 1v1 in the mid lane. He has fallen multiple times to a lot of the pressure that TT had put on.
And really, just the idea that you're stepping so close to a Sejuani with ulti is already, unfortunately, not what you can be doing. Is already a mistake, so he burns his flash to get out to safety. And I think Arla, honestly, so far this game has had a pretty solid performance. I mean, he's playing Sion, so he's handicapped by what his team can let him do. Jun with a great smite, and Arla here, he buys the space to allow his team to walk in, and then they just don't walk out. Like, they should never be looking to take this fight with no top laner and all of these low HP bars. And to round out our mid lane point, SeTab's looks phenomenal.
Yeah, no getting caught out yet. And the thing is, all of this is happening before he even hits his first item. Like, that is a major break point for the Yone, is the Blade of the Ruined King. And he's been able to find all these avenues already, and now he has hit that first item spike. So even more worse for wear for JDG moving out on the map. They needed to have a lead, and now they've fallen behind about 1,000 gold. The Rift Herald is started up by TT. It's going to be JDG seeding that side of the map and going for a side lane turret.
Oh, and then they end up seeing Peyz as well.
Peyz trying to get the outplay here. Has to burn flash, but SeTab is right there trying to pump it back into him. Very low. The burn! It's not enough. Got out with about 30 HP there. SeTab surviving.
Yeah, but I mean, ultimately, right, what happens there is they get Peyz's flash, which is incredible. You will always take AD carry flash. SeTab burned his ulti, which, again, you'll happily expend for a better chance at killing Peyz in the next team fight, which, looking at the way these two teams are skirmishing, probably going to be quite frequent and quite soon. That next Drake could very well be the play.
Oh my god, the double CC chain missing.
Nice,
just gonna die. 303 for 1xN. Rift Herald in the mid lane by TT. And I think we're starting to get our answer of which version of JDG is showing up on the day. And it's not the good one, that's for sure. TT coming up big.
The entirety of 2025 has been just a big question mark for JDG. They've shown such high highs, taking 2-0s against teams that, they should really probably struggle a little more against than anything else.
Oh my god, that was a lot of damage.
I mean, they just get the turret though, right?
Maybe they actually get SeTab. Well, that's strike one for SeTab. He will be slowly taking down the side lane. He gets the turret. Oh my god, what a Chad. Somebody kill this man, please. Okay, Peyz going to take him down, but he got the turret in the end. That'll be the second turret completed for TT. Although SeTab sticking back to his ways, getting caught in the side lane.
I want to fight you. I'm fighting you on that. He had Beichuan and Feather right there. We're literally on the other side of the wall of that tier 1 turret. They could have just walked forward, hit that turret, and let him leave with them.
Results-based analysis. All I'm saying.
No.
What happened?
He died in a side lane. He didn't get caught in a side lane.
Man.
He didn't get caught in a side lane. Different things.
Man. Technicality. That's what. We're going
no, you're exactly right.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Though we do have to talking about the next spot of the dragon, because we'll be second dragon for either team. Doesn't rise that much in importance. I think it was good for JDG to steal away that last dragon. They can't continue to get caught. And speaking about getting caught in the side lane, maybe it is just going to be Scout. He's going to try to get the Weaver's Wall out, gets stopped in his tracks as Ala has now come up to try to save him. This is a full-on commit here. JDG is trying to save Scout. Fate sealed into 3, and it's SeTab coming out the better over Scout time and time again in this game number 1. That'll be 2 members biting the dust, and Shun shows up too little too late. Ala is getting engaged on it. Feather has to flash away from Shun. Here comes the unstoppable onslaught, gonna run right into his own turret. The reset from Shun. He's looking for it. He's got all the gold. He's got all the momentum, but SeTab's got the Yone. Is it gonna be enough? Shun trying to take him down. Ala gets the pop, and that's already SeTab down. Shun is picking up the slack where Scout has dropped it, and Ala is right there with him.
And this is the jungler that JDG wanted. They swapped out their franchise jungler at the beginning of the year to bring in Jun. He is now 5-1-2 on this Neferi, turning fights, turning games back in their favor. And TT looks like they were going to be able to run away with this fight on the top side. They pick off Scout. SeTab, again, with a great engage, but it's all for nothing. Scout walks into the alcove here, gets punted off by Beichuan with an Arctic Assault. And this, again, a fight that looks incredible for TT to begin with. SeTab knock up, scooping in onto 3. But I want you to catch the back half of this team fight here, Len, and it's Hoya in particular that actually has a bit of a stinker, a bit of a shocker here as we walk and just sort of tanks up the turret. 1, 2, 3, and 4 turret shots into the bleed from the Neferi, which does turn this around. It gives the opening now to JDG to start finding this fight. And it's Jun who is playing out of his mind. SeTab, great idea to flash out of the Scion Q, but you actually don't have enough damage to get through Neferi.
That's my GOAT, baby. That's my GOAT. He's showing up. Let's go. BLG could never. Miss him 1, 2, 3. Get your new jungler. It's JDG star jungler now. It's Shun. Picking in game number 1, the Neferi on red side. It was a choice from TT, like you said earlier. But now he's on 2.5 items. Is going to need to maintain that carry performance, though, because it does not get any easier against this TT roster, and especially this TT composition.
Yeah, we highlighted it earlier on that JDG felt like they had the burden of execution. It's now SeTab on the fire top side.
Scout doesn't hit a single
Just walks
thing
away.
There. Just walks away.
Well, he's still under fire.
Maybe if one dog can't get him, maybe the rest can. TP coming in. SeTab goes to safety. Dragon goes down to TT. And that will be the TP burn, but that's worth it in the end.
That is so funny that he just looks at who's there. Yeah, you've got no CC. I'll DPS check you.
Missing in trouble here now, though Shun is the scary member there. We'll get the spell shield popped on 1XN. By the way, he is on second item now as well. We are getting second item completions for a couple members as well. Important breakpoints going to be coming through.
Yeah, importantly, right, Peyz has that Ginsu's Rage Blade, and again, if we've forgotten how Ginsu's works, you get a Phantom auto attack, which for Kai'Sa works really well, especially trying to stack that plasma. So every third auto attack, you get 2 stacks of plasma onto whoever you're trying to take down, and then that percentage HP damage. It's pretty good.
It's on vision. They will block it out now. TT realized they need to maybe stick around. The Atacon just burning down. That's the power of this Neferi plus the Kai'Sa. But the roses, that's what's important. Missing, just gets popped himself. Shun working his way into Beichuan. Hoya has shown up. That's the other tank coming through. Peyz picks up a ton of the roses here for JDG. Yeah. Ala was looking for an angle with the unstoppable onslaught. He's waiting. He's going Splinter Cell Scion now, just like the Shy did all that time ago. As he will take out that ward, and in the end, it is just the quick Atacon burn by JDG.
Okay, so they're putting the power of that 2-item Kai'Sa, just as you pointed out, Mazel, to good effect. And Ala's still sort of sniffing around here. He's just cutting them off. So we pan into the mid lane. It's Scout and Jun who are fancying their chances at taking down this tier 1 turret. Ala just walks into the jungle and says, yeah, if you want to defend your tier 1, you've got to go through me to do it.
Yeah, Scion is unfair right now. Like, it just doesn't matter who you're playing, what you're playing. At some point in the game, Scion will be annoying to you. And even with Hoya sitting at 4-1 on the Vladimir,
yeah,
it doesn't feel like that has changed. And I really want to see this Vladimir pick thrive for Hoya. I mean, it was a crucial kind of finality pick for them.
yeah.
And it's a crucial part to the puzzle here for the TT comp. They really are relying on their solo lanes in this one.
It's been set up to do so as well, right? Like, other than the oopsie under the turret, he would be 4-0 at this stage, right? But
Yeah.
2.5 items, working his way probably towards a death cap, let's be honest. This could be Zhonya's, maybe, if he's feeling like that will buy him enough time. But he is incredibly fed, has a lot of gold in his back pocket, and has a lot of the agency in this game as well, right? We're looking at the gold leads across the board. It's JDG that are just barely up in totality, but the only real areas of the map that have a definitive advantage are the top and the jungle. And TT is the top with the advantage. It's Beichuan who's taken a backseat on the Sejuani, again, kind of expected as a Sej to be behind Shun on this Neferi, and you could argue the same to be said for Ala as well, in fairness, on the Sion. Can be a little bit more sacrificial, but the Vladimir, the Neferi, your two big carries, your two big points of pride for these teams, need to step in and need to perform.
Oh, Feather going to force the flash away from the seismic shove. SeTab has completed a second item. It's a Stride Breaker, by the way.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, going to be trying to pick out the side lane takes, at least maybe a little bit more.
Yeah, that probably means that he's playing into... They've decided he's going to play into Ala this whole time.
Yeah.
This is definitely geared a bit more towards tank shred and keeping the Sion in your face, or maybe just being able to kite out the Sion that a little bit more as well. And if you were looking to try and play versus a Taliyah more frequently, you'd probably go for something a bit more crit focused, or maybe a little bit more in that shield bow dimension.
See if it pans out for him. He's right now finding a good trade into Ala. Trying to stack up some of these health stacks there. Yeah, they are all the way coming down. TPs coming in from Scout as he uses the Weaver's Wall to catch on to SeTab. Decimating Smash going to slow you just as much as your Stride Breaker does, and Scout gets the redemption kill finally in this game number 1 for JDG.
Yeah, Scout did commit TP and Weaver's Wall to get down there, and there we go. That, for me, is strike 1. SeTab caught out on a side lane.
There you go.
And there was there's nothing that his team are getting elsewhere, unfortunately. Hoya, he pushed in that top wave and then didn't go to hit the turret. Has decided that he wants to try and catch this bot wave instead. And that, unfortunately for SeTab, is one that we can not particularly forgive, as 15 seconds on the Dragon and 15 seconds on his recall time, or his death time, and he's going to be able to get out onto the map, but they're going to have lost all side lane control off the back of that death, so the momentum and the tempo now much further back into JDG's favour than they would have liked, and that would have been the case had he have just stayed alive. Instead, they're just going to have to completely sacrifice. Yeah.
I mean, it goes down so fast. Beichuan maybe looking for a steal. This would be huge. He can't get it. He's going to look his way out there. Maybe looking for the fight after, though. Peyz going to tank down that Glacial Prison. Nothing else going to come of it. And JDG even up the Dragon score once again.
Yeah, so 50-50 going the way of June. Good to see that the smite check is in favour of JDG this time out. And for the time being, Lennon, we probably resort back to a little bit more of a quiet state of this first game. Remember that JDG have been topsy-turvy, let's say, this entire year long. Started out 3-0 with clinical 2-0s over some of our top teams, and then, out of the blue, lose to FPX. They chain those into 2 more consecutive losses, and all of a sudden, the JDG organization go, this is not good enough. Switch up their coach, bring in a fresh face, and then they 2-0 AL, who are one of our top 2 teams in the LPL at the minute. The volatility of this team has been absolutely wild, and we do not know which type of JDG we're going to get. The start of this game looks like we had the team that was losing a lot, and now June's face checking.
He's going to go untargetable, but SeTab still wants him. Fate sealed in with the combo, the permafrost. It wasn't enough. Shun still alive. That third item, the death stance, actually coming in so clutch. And now Ala looking for the play on Hoya. Going to get the flash out. He's very deep. He is just wanting to make a mark here. He's not going to be able to do anything, and Peyz is right there to try to follow him up. The Hema plague will pop.
Are they on Baron?
Is the one they're going for.
They
Now
are.
Chains of Corruption and Glacial Prison Abyss. TT, they're struggling. They're desperate. They need to make something happen, but Shun doesn't have much of a health bar to get into that pit. They look for SeTab on the side. TT realized they need to back away. The Hex Gate going to be used for SeTab to get back on the other side, but Peyz has found him. Got to be careful now. The TP's coming in from Allah. He's going to be full health, and he's looking very, very heavily at taking this engage, taking this front line. As JDG back TT away from the Baron play. Hoya's going to TP top and get that push going.
He needs to leave pretty quickly. He's overextended with that teleport
burn it.
there, and
They
now
just burn it.
with the amount of time and the amount of HP that TT took, it's JDG with this 3-item Kais and the Theory as well. The Baron's just gone.
TT, man! Oh, that's heartbreaking. They tried to make the play, but because they wasted so many resources up there, JDG just scoop in, take everything away from them, and now flirting around a 4,000 gold lead for JDG almost 30 minutes in.
And I think that this is a bit of an issue for TT. Their confidence not quite where it needed to be. That was a fight and a situation where their best way out was to 50-50 the Baron. And you found, you know, there are a lot of issues that get you there in the first place, but in the split-second decision, Beichuan didn't have the confidence to take it.
Scout, he got the block off, but Beichuan is the one they target first. Big knock-up, seismic shove combo to Feather. He's very tanky with the unbreakable, though. Beichuan looking for the angle. SeTab wants to take them. Goes on the Peyz, but it's not enough damage. It should follows him through. Is looking for the recess himself. Goes untargetable. Shun has picked up the slack of all these stars around him and said, damn it, I'll do it my damn self. As he will fall, it still is a definitive fight for JDG as they propel their lead now 4,000 gold up into this mid lane push and into a tier 2 turret.
And with the Baron at their backs, Mazel, they can break open the base here. Just one member down for them, 3 down for TT. They have got no chance at stopping this, and JDG, they're going to show no mercy when breaking open this base. 1xN on the Varus does not have the chops to stop them from removing this mid lane inhibitor. And with a minute on that Drake as well, their timing is perfect. Baron up recalls, Hexgate back out onto the map, re-establish vision, and go into a fight for this dragon with a 5k gold lead.
Absolutely massive. All of a sudden, looks like JDG have woken up a little bit here. We were wondering which version of them we would get in here. Get a pretty decent team fight from them. A little bit split on the end of it, but Shun just decides to go ham, and I like it.
He does, and I mean, this is honestly SeTab looking really positive again, looking for Peyz, but missing. Snaps him with the quickness, and means that he can't find the damage that he needs to. And Jun, I think, probably unintentionally follows, as on live, Feather's getting caught out and dying. But with that follow through, and the fact that 1xN is now just barely able to take out Jun in the back half of this, I think that Jun didn't really want to go into that to begin with, but realized once he was there, hold on, I'm in a good spot, I'm fine.
Doesn't even need the hot dog skin. He's going to look for a play on the SeTab, though. SeTab uses his Q3 going in, and here come all the dogs as he calls the pack. SeTab not going to have much say in this one, and SeTab on his comfort on the Yone, something they've gone to so many times. Not going to find promise here. JDG biting off a little bit more than they can chew in the base of TT, though Allah, that tanky meatball, is going to use his unstoppable Peyz. He misses the Void Seeker play, almost kills Beichuan anyways. Now missing to pop the quickness, they found Hoya. This is the beginning of the end for TT in game number 1, as JDG going to handle their business and look to go, at least more importantly, a 1-0 match point advantage over TT in this best of 3. The last 2 Nexus Towers are there. They're going to TP back into it. Now TT do have a little bit of defense possible. The waves are crashing, though. Roodood and Beichuan putting his life on the line here.
Allah's full HP comes in to tank up some turrets. First Nexus turret falls. 1xN trying his best to clear waves. Another TP can come in, though. Scout goes back to base, replenishes his mana, and now back into the base they go. 14 seconds on Hoya.
Here they go. The one last thing. Just SeTab misses the fate sealed. As Scout, the passenger princess, has finally shown up. JDG can finish the game now. As 1xN gets jumped on by Shun. He'll find a couple more kills to finish it off. Go ahead and give him a triple, maybe even a quadra. It's going to go the way of Allah, but the game will go the way of JDG. 1-0 lead in this best of 3.
Took them a little bit, Mazel, but they did come alive when necessary, and it was this man on your screen. Jun just popped off on the Neferi. We talked about it to start off the game. It was a question of 1xN's Varus versus Jun's Neferi. These were the 2 points of the draft that were up for contention. What did you want more? TT wanted the Varus more, and they were made to pay.
They were indeed. Shun having a impeccable performance on the Neferi, again on the red side as well, and that won't be available for the rest of the series, but it feels good to delve resources to a guy who has had some iffy performances and still get the payout that you expect from a superstar jungler. You have to remember, this was the key jungler to BLG's successes in 2024 as well, even if he did get subbed out in the end in summer. They're definitely going to be missing him now that all those fluctuations are going on over there with that team. But this JDG squad, it gives you hope when you see performances like this. You're like, why can't you just be like this all the time?
Yeah, I mean, it's what they say, right, is that the good teams win games when they're playing badly. And JDG, to begin with, they played that game not amazingly. There were areas where TT were coming out swinging, right? Scout had a really quite poor performance in this first game, but his team, they had enough, right? They had enough to carry him over the line, and that's what you need from your good teams, is that you've got not just 1, not just 2, not just 3, but you've got 5 just unkillable, incredible players on your roster, and JDG are starting to look to prove that it's not just a one-man show from the mid lane, but that they can pull wins from every other area of the map as well.
And you know, I'm not going to take back my Scout Passenger Princess comment, because I still think it's absolutely true.
He was along for the ride.
Even if he got a couple good seismic shoves, I don't think it was enough to right the wrongs there. And both him and SeTab trading blows and getting caught in the side lanes. And that's why I wanted to take a little bit of a magnifying glass into this mid lane. It wasn't necessarily because they've been popping off and being these big carries, but it's the craziness that Scout isn't handling business against some of the newer mid laners in the LPL, and seeing what version of him we get here. But this one was all about Peyz, all about Allah, and all about Shun.
Yeah, I mean, all about Shun, to be honest with you. I mean, Allah had a pretty decent performance on the Scion, I will say. I think he performed pretty well. Job. Yeah, he did his job, I think, is the best way of saying it. And as a tank, that's like the most important part. But you can see, right, Shun more damage than anybody on his team, and he's playing PvE for half the game. So whenever a jungler has most damage, you're always kind of curious about how that's quite happened. The highest KP in the game actually went to Beichuan. That's my bad for misreading with jungle, but even still, Allah, again, 84% kill participation was just a part of pretty much everything.
Yeah, always finding those flanks. But I just, again, it's so unfair, man. Like, the Scion gets ridiculous at some point in the game for anybody that you can be in any champion. And I think it's really well used. And it's a thing where you can get a win on it and have that security knowing that you don't have to face that again in the rest of the series itself. And I think JDG are going to be very happy with their response to this game, number 1 specifically. I think they're going to have to come up with another version of this for themselves in game number 2 for sure. But there were some key moments where you could see the team kind of coming together. Even if the plays looked a little bit wonky, I want to see this team on the same page. And even if that page is trying to save Scout's booty, it works out sometimes.
Even if it is just put 2 control wards around mid lane, let's see what happens. You know, like let's do what we can to make sure that this guy doesn't die 4 times in a game. This time around,
it didn't work.
But
it didn't work.
No, it didn't work last game. But I think that the opportunity for TT to take a game was probably that game. They had a good enough showing to start off with. They had the tools, and ultimately, I think that this is a bit of a commentary on Hoya and his. We'll just call it performance in this series, but maybe the LPL as well, in that he got given so many resources in that game, so many tools, so many opportunities and avenues to be a massive threat. But really, he was neutered. There wasn't really a big fight where we see him do what he needs to as the Vladimir, and maybe that speaks to a little bit of unfamiliarity with what his champion's job is, what his role is, but I should never really be looking to see Hoya just trying to wail away on a Scion and help do that DPS check on the Scion. It's always been a dives threat champion.
And I'll say some of those ults from SeTab look real flashy, but in some of the crucial moments, some of them going a little bit wide, and some of those executionary points definitely looking at the bottom of the barrel for TT when it comes to so far their performances in Ascend. They've had a little bit of a roller coaster as well comparatively to JDG. It is a small kiddie ride though, but it is still nonetheless something where this team needs to kind of pick up wins as much as they can moving forward, just to give themselves a little bit of pride and at least get ready for that kind of play and playoff that we're going to be having moving forward. So I got to ask you though, out of that one, it has to be Shun MVP, right? Even if he didn't have the hot dog skin.
Yeah, well, you know, that's a really good point though. We might have to dock him marks for that. I think that even with docked not hot dog skins, he still gets MVP.
Say that 10 times fast.
Oh, I couldn't say it once successfully, buddy. 10 times is a no chance.
Thank you for buying into that with me. It is going to be Shun that takes it. 11, 2, and 3 on the Nefiri. And a heck of a star performance from the guy on JDG. A team that's been lacking consistency, but they found it here in game number 1 against TT.
Yeah, they got themselves off on the right foot in this first game. Not necessarily all the way through it, but they got to where they needed to be. And I think that's what's important, is that this could very now easily be another 2-0 for them. Where if they've ever lost a game, they've ended up losing both of them. And if they don't, them winning a game means nothing. From what we've seen, because they win a game in every series. It's whether they win 1 or 2 has proven to be the trend so far. But TT, I think they'll be kicking themselves a little bit. That was definitely a winnable game. They had enough resources and enough of a lead as well to be able to do it. But I think that they can look back at that game and probably learn a lot from it and start thinking about, well, actually, what is it that we didn't do appropriately?
Yeah, well, I'm excited to see. We'll see what happens going to game number 2 after a short little break. We'll see what happens if TT can bring it back.